On April 26, 27 and 28 this year, over 22 million people are expected to cast their votes in our first ever democratic elections. And they must be able to do so safely, secretly and securely. Who is going to make sure that this happens? Who is going to be able to say at the end of it all that these were truly free and fair elections? The Independent Electoral Commission, that's who. The Independent Electoral Commission, or as they are called, the IEC, is an independent body, which means its members were elected from all walks of life, and they stand outside of politics. They are here to ensure that you, the voter, will be able to vote freely and fairly with confidence. Not only does the IEC have to plan the election process on the voting days, it must keep an eye on the election campaign in the weeks leading up to the voting. And politics being what they are, there are bound to be disputes between parties during the campaign. And the IEC will be called in to sort out these disputes. Remember, the IEC takes no sides. Let's take a look at the structure of the IEC. Firstly, the two key players are the chairperson, Mr. Justice Johan Grichler, and the vice chairperson, Mr. Dikgang Moseneke. Helping them are 9 South African commissioners and 5 from other countries. To make things more manageable, the IEC has been split into 3 parts. The Administration Directorate for all the administration, the Monitoring Directorate to monitor the elections, and the Electoral Tribunal to settle disputes between parties. The Administration Directorate will organize the election. It must make sure, for example, that there is a voting station within 10 kilometers of every one of the 22 million voters. Each and every one of these 22 million has to have some form of identification to vote. ID documents are being processed every day at the local offices of the Department of Home Affairs. Voter cards are also being issued. For this, 400 mobile voter card units have been set up across the country. On election day, you'll be able to vote anywhere. You can go to one of the 9,000 or so voting stations around the country to cast your vote. Lists of your nearest voting station will be announced in your local newspaper or on the radio. And what about South Africans outside the country at the time? They will be able to vote at the nearest South African embassy or consulate. The IEC also has to make sure that there are enough ballot papers on which to make your mark. Because of the double ballot system, this means over 80 million ballot papers, enough to fill 4 jumbo jets, have to be printed and sent to all the voting stations. The ballots will be placed in special boxes and sent to special counting centers. These locked boxes will be safely transported to counting stations. That takes care of the administration arm of the IEC. Meanwhile, the Monitoring Directorate will be making sure that the political players stick to the rules. Think of them as the referees in a match, ready to blow the whistle should anyone step out of line. Any party or individual can complain to the IEC office if it suspects foul play by another party or person. The people who monitor the election will issue warnings, try to solve the differences between parties and people, and investigate any disruptions of the peace on the ground. Some of the rulings so far include the following. No one may carry weapons or arms during the elections or use violence against another party. Nor may anyone destroy or tear up another party's posters or disrupt their meetings. Nor may they spread false rumors about another party. Do not stop or threaten or prevent other people from attending party meetings or from canvassing on the ground. And do not force people to go to your party meetings. Instead, encourage tolerance, free campaigning and cooperation. So remember, no one can tell you who to vote for, and no one can ever find out where you put your mark. If anyone tries to intimidate you, you can complain at the IEC. The third arm of the IEC acts as a court of law to deal with disputes and wrongdoing. If, for example, the Monitoring Directorate can't sort out a dispute between parties, it will go to a special court called the Electoral Tribunal. They will decide who is right and how the offender will be punished. Offenders can either be fined heavily or imprisoned. So there we have it, the IEC with its 3 arms. The administration arm to organize the election, the monitoring arm to make sure that it is free and fair, and the legal arm to deal with disputes. To summarize, the Independent Electoral Commission is an unbiased watchdog with a very important job to do. It has to make sure South Africans can count on a truly free and fair election. So from me, Zinamhlope, goodbye until next time.